Well, I worked with Mr. Tudor for about 5 years. When I joined American Ballet Theatre, I started working with him immediately, but he passed away 5 years after that. So I was involved with his ballets from my very first day, pretty much, at American Ballet Theatre, and learned so much from them as a dancer that later on in our careers, we were already teaching, and we got a phone call to be guest artist with the Washington Ballet in The Leaves Are Fading. And I had been just flirting with the idea of wanting to do other things, and it just popped out of my mouth over the phone. Hey, could we stage that for you? Us becoming repetiteurs for the Anthony Tudor Trust kind of just happened. It wasn't a preconceived idea. The opportunity presented itself, and it was something we thought we would really like to do. We knew the ballet very well. We both danced many parts in it. It was kind of spontaneous. It really was.
After years of working with Mr. Tudor, I was with him for about a decade. And,
yeah.
You know, you go through the ballets as a dancer, and you know, it seems like just kind of a natural thing. And it wasn't really a big decision. It was kind of a spontaneous thing.
It really was, and we weren't thinking of being full-time repetiteurs or anything like this, and we spoke to the head of the Tudor Trust, and she was very supportive and all for it, and this is something that has just kind of naturally evolved. Oh boy, it was wonderful working with Mr. Tudor for me. The initial fear that everyone prepared me for, when I first joined ABT, everyone was like, oh, you've got rehearsal with Mr. Tudor, oh, you know, he's gonna get you, and it was scary. And I had an exchange with him in my first rehearsal where he pulled me from the back and proceeded to make me do a very difficult step over and over and over, and I got so frustrated that I said, I said something under my breath, and he said, what was that? And I said, this is just so awkward. And I was too young to think of a good lie. And he looked at me and he said, now you're getting it. And then he let me go back to the back and work on it. But I learned a really important lesson from him in that one sentence, really, that to never try to hide the difficulty or the awkwardness. Don't smooth it out and try to make it look like something else that's easier. And I was never afraid of him from then on. I don't know, he always had that twinkle in his eye that made you know you had to be careful. He needed your full and total presence in the room. You had to be.
He had a special way of getting there.
He 200% present.
He liked to take people to their point of resistance, and that's different for everyone. He did that physically in his work, but he also did that in the studio, where he would make you uncomfortable, and he would push that point where you would resist him or resist what he was doing, and he would take you further than that. So your point of resistance got further, and you discovered things about yourself. You discovered places in your work that you were just really pretending to be something and not being really present in the work. And I mean, he taught you how to be sensitive to the music, sensitive to everything in the room, what was happening.
Sensitive to each other.
Yeah, and it was a whole new approach for me. I felt like it was like becoming conscious in a way as a dancer that I hadn't been before. I think I was 17 or 18 when I met him. And so he was a huge influence on me that way. It affected everything that I did beyond the Tudor ballets. I became more present, not just putting something on top, pretending to be something, but really going into it further. It was just a real, I don't know, it was discovery of the work, but it was also a discovery of yourself working with Mr. Tudor. And a lot of people say Mr. Tudor was about truth, and he was. His work was about real people, about real issues, about truth in human nature and deep truths of human beings. And you discover truths about yourself working with him.
I feel that one of the things that makes Mr. Tudor's works so significant are that they do deal with human emotions and the human condition. And that's timeless. I mean, and everyone in the audience can relate to that.
Yeah, I think he was obviously a genius in our minds. I think that he really was a master of the narrative work, but also I think that for a lot of people, myself included, he also was a master of making people feel something with the simplicity of movement.
Yes.
He could say so much with so little movement, you know, and he chose his steps really, really carefully to say that. And so even if in a ballet like Leaves Are Fading, that there's suggestions of what it all might mean, and he said what he said about it by semi-autobiographical, but you know, even if you don't understand it completely, you feel something. And that's what I look for as an audience member. You know, when I go to see something, I want to feel something. And with Tudor's work, you always feel it, always. It's never empty.
That's true.
Yeah.
You come away, yes, with that feeling. Lilac Garden has a special meaning for me in the sense that it was one of the first Tudor works that I saw that just, I don't know how else to say this, but kind of drew me in. It sucked me in. I just became absolutely fascinated with this ballet. And, well, why can't she be with him and why can't he be with her? It was like the depth of the period that it's set in too. It opened up an interest to that for me. The Edwardian period and how difficult life could be then, and relationships and arranged marriages, but it just captivated me from the moment I first saw it, and I was so grateful then to get pulled into it. I started learning Caroline because of an injury to the Caroline, so it was kind of a frantic pace that I had to learn it at, but I was just, it fascinated me from the moment I first saw it. And so in that respect, I'd seen other ballets that I really loved and wanted to see over and over, but nothing had quite grabbed me like that, where it's like I just wanted to like study it and go deeper into it, and in the musicality and the relationship the characters had to each other, and all of them. Why is she doing that? And so that was the first ballet, that and His Pillar of Fire, that really did that for me. So in that respect,
I think it defines a lot of the things we say about Mr. Tudor or in Lilac Garden. The clarity of the story as you watch, it's so clear what's happening. It's just a genius ballet. I mean, it's just amazing.
In 17 minutes.
And how long has it been now since we've been seeing Lilac Garden in our lives? 30 years. Every time I see more, you know, it's so detailed.
Well, we're having a great time here in Oklahoma City. The dancers have been just wonderful to work with. They're so focused, and they're really giving us their complete and full attention, which is always wonderful, and open to the sensitivity of the work. I'm having a great time. I'm enjoying myself very much.
Yeah, I am too. We're getting to know everyone. You know, it's a process, and everybody, like you said, is really open, very enthusiastic, and wants to seek out their characters. We've been talking about that, and I can tell that they're thinking. You can see the relationships developing in the characters already, and they're discovering a lot about that. And it's just a great process to go through every single time.
Yeah.
But they're wonderful here. The kids
Yes,
are great.
and we've started asking, well, you have mostly, asking questions. So it will be really interesting next week or even the week after that to really explore the answers to those questions. It's too soon, and the best way to get to know Mr. Tudor is through his movement. So we've said a few things about Mr. Tudor to the dancers, but it's better to let them get to know him through the movement, and then
ask why.
Then they usually want to know more.
Why is she treating you that way? Why do you allow her to treat you that way in your character? What is it? What is your relationship with her that allows that? You know, and it's something that we went through with Mr. Tudor. We're obviously not Mr. Tudor, but it's an important part of the process that they understand their characters.
So the real fun is going to be, like week after next even, when they really are starting to know the work and what it's about, and you get to hear those answers to those questions. I'm really looking forward to hearing what they are.
Yeah.